read the opening announcement. Adequate public notice of this meeting was provided by the Secretary of the Board on March 2nd, 2018, to the Home News Tribune and the Clerk of the City of New Brunswick. The time and location of this meeting and all meetings of this body are posted in City Hall, 78 Byron Street, New Brunswick. Roll call.
Mr. Hush. Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Here.
Mrs. Shutitis. Here. Mrs. Solis.
Here.
Mr. Spencer. Here. Ms. Varela. Mr. Ortiz.
Here.
Dr. Caldwell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. Dr. Johnson, will you lead us in the pledge?
Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we all know, this is a reorganization meeting, which means the business administrator runs the election portion of the meeting. Is there a motion to appoint Richard Janero?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Mrs. Sadowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood.
Yes.
Mrs. Solis.
Yes.
Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz.
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Motion approved.
So your chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so just give me a quick minute here. So I'm going to announce the official results of the school board election. Mr. Edward Spencer received 463 votes. Diana Solis, 424 votes. Jad Cato, 275 votes. Nancy Love, 240 votes. Yesenia Medina Hernandez, 150 votes. Jerry Mercado, 199 votes. And Ronald Hush, 372 votes. So elected to the school board is Edward Spencer, Diana Solis, and Ronald Hush. Congratulations. And I have for you your certificate from the County of Middlesex, your statement of determination.
I have several people going now, too.
Thank you very much. So now what I'd like to do is give both Ms. Solis and Mr. Spencer the swearing in for the oath of office for the school board member. So if you could both rise, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I say your name.
Diana Solis.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I,
I,
say your name,
Diana Solis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed
that I possess the qualifications prescribed
by the law for the office of member
by the law, the office of member
of a Board of Education,
of the Board of Education,
and that
and that
I am not disqualified
I am not disqualified
as a voter
as a voter
pursuant to RS
pursuant to RS
19-4-1, nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime
due to conviction of a crime
or offense listed
or offense listed
in NJSA
in NJSA
18A
18A
12-1,
12-1,
and that I shall
and I shall
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of that office
of that office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You are officially sworn in this morning. Okay, so the next order of business is that we are going to have an election of the board president. So do I have a motion by anyone for any board member to be board president?
Yes, I make the motion that Dr. Dale Caldwell continue as president following year.
Second.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, they can close and vote by acclamation.
Okay, so we have a vote for Dale Caldwell to be president of the Board of Education. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion approved. Congratulations, Mr. I respectfully turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you, Rich, and just thank you, board. I have an opportunity to do searches, and so I interact with a lot of boards around the country, and I realize how special our board is. So it's just thanks. It's an honor to be with you again for another year. So now we have the honor to elect the vice president. Is there a motion to accept, to nominate a vice presidential candidate?
Yes. I nominate Benito Ortiz.
Second.
Great. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations and go to a vote. Mr. General.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion approved. Congratulations, Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you. Thank you for your confidence.
Anything else? There's
No, all fine.
Thank you.
Last year, Mr. President, last year, since we have 40 motions to approve various people, we're going to do it by consensus on all motions. And before you do that, you can ask if there's any public comment or board comment on any of them, and we can vote them all at the same time.
Before, I think we should do 7. No, we have to do 7.
Yeah, separately, I know that.
Separately, the other ones, you're up.
Yes.
I think that's
Okay.
what to do.
Then number 7, Mr. Generone.
Well, do we have a motion of the election of the Ed Services Commission of New Jersey representative?
Yes, I nominate Dr. Dale Caldwell.
I second.
Okay, is there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, we will close it out and have a vote. All in favor of Mr. Caldwell being the representative to the Educational Services Commission in New Jersey? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain since I'm president.
Ayes have it. Congratulations, Dr.
Yeah.
Caldwell.
Thank you. And as our learned counsel states, is there a motion to do 8 through 52? And if so, any comments you have on any of those items? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments before we vote on those? I guess, Rich? Vote?
Yeah.
Is there any public comments on number 8 through 52?
Hearing none? Would you vote?
Mrs. Sadowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Seawood, Mrs. Solis,
Yes.
Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And then finally, Item number 53, any public comments?
Good evening, members of the board. Charles Cradaville. I'm a New Brunswick resident, also the editor of New Brunswick Today. As you know, I want to start by congratulating Mr. Spencer and Ms. Solis on your election to a new term, and congratulate the president and vice president on another year in those offices. I do want to start by just asking about Mr. Hush's absence tonight. Has he already been sworn in, or will that happen at a future meeting?
I believe at a future meeting.
I will be swearing Mr. Hush in my office before the next meeting.
Okay, understood. And his absence today, is it excused? Is there an explanation for why he's not here?
That's an excused absence.
Okay. Do want to just raise one issue tonight, well, two issues. The first is a request that I made for use of the Woodrow Wilson School. As you know, New Brunswick has been plagued by problems with our water system dating back for many years, including criminal schemes to cover up problems with the water and also falsifying records related to billing. Also, there's just been issues with the color of the water, and I know that some of the board members might be familiar with this because one of the neighborhoods that has been experiencing it the most recently is Rutgers Village. And so to that end, Brunswick Today wanted to host a community meeting for people to discuss issues related to problems with the water and put in a request through the online system that the board has to make requests on March 29th at 12:20 p.m. It was my request was routed to Buildings and Grounds, and then later that day it was routed to a person named William Smith, and I didn't hear back anything at all until April the 10th, when Ms. McMillan forwarded me a letter of that same date from Mr. LaDolce. For the record, the date that I had requested to host that meeting was April 11th, so this was basically just over 24 hours before the meeting was, the space had been requested. And this is my first time requesting a space in the public school, so I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But I do want to ask some questions about this letter from Mr. LaDolce. It was explained to me in the letter that they were unable to support the request on short notice, even though I had requested it a couple of weeks beforehand. And it was explained here that there would be an assessment of fees and also a requirement for our organization to provide a certificate of insurance showing the board's interest, covering lessee's public liability in the amount of $300,000/500,000 and property damage in the amount of $50,000 prior to the event date. I just want to understand, because that policy was not easily discerned on the parts of the website that I went to make application to use the space. Is that policy, is there anything that can be done about that requirement, or is that universally enforced for every organization that has been able to use school facilities?
To answer your question, a waiver can be requested, and then the board has to consider it. So that's why the timing of your request, if you wanted to waive that requirement, and we do, it depends upon what the activity is, what the security needs are. But we require people to have insurance and people to provide money for security. And we have to make a policy judgment on each application. So even though you may have sent it to the 29th, by the time it got around to getting to the top of the heap, there was no way for the board to consider a waiver. So if you want to do it in the future and you want a waiver, I don't think we can waive the insurance requirement, but we could provide security ourselves. So it's as case-by-case basis. So, you know, for future reference, put it in plenty of time. And then if you think you want them to waive the security requirement, you know.
and I will tell you, as president of the commission as well, we just had a request this week, that insurance requirement, because of liability, is pretty standard, you know. So it is, so we just literally had the same thing, just happened this week.
Okay, thank you for answering the question. I just want to be clear, there's two issues. There's the fees and then there's the insurance. Could a request for a waiver be made of both? Or is that not?
It can be, but the latter probably would not be granted because if something happened there, you know, our insurance company would raise our premiums because we didn't require the group sponsoring the event to have insurance, which is pretty standard, as Dr. Caldwell pointed out. So you could ask for it, and we'll see.
Okay, I understood. And for the record, who would be the person to request that waiver? Mr. LaDolce? Or?
Yes, he's facilities, so.
Okay,
But then it ultimately would come to the board. And we've turned some down because of the nature of the event. You know, there's a case-by-case basis, that's all I can say.
understood. And yeah, just for the record, there were 3 sets of fees here. There was custodial and security, which even though the meeting was only supposed to last 2 hours, you all wanted to charge me for 3 hours of both of those.
Case by case.
Is that like a minimum charge, or is that because you always add an hour for before and after, or?
I'm sorry, Charlie, your question was what? Well, I think it was probably cleanup time would be in there, so the time of the event, prep time, cleanup time, and
Usually a half hour before, a half hour after
Okay.
people are coming.
Just wanted to understand that, and then there was also a charge for the rooms, 2 hours at $20 per hour. That's, I guess, a standard rate per room.
For those rooms, auditoriums are different, gyms are different.
Understood. And just to be clear, requests for waiver could be made for all 3 of those fees,
Yes.
and it would have to be approved by the board.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Well, I'll try to be on my best behavior. The final point I wanted to make is that the proposed tax exemption for the developer that wants to build a high-rise at 90 New Street is back. As some predicted, now that the election's over, the city council is going to hold a public hearing on granting that developer a long-term tax exemption. The tax exemption would exempt the owner of the building, which is a huge building, 186 apartments, 21 stories. That owner of that building would be exempt from paying school taxes for 30 years. And based on my research and estimates, that would cost the school district about $39 million over those 30 years. This is an issue not just in New Brunswick, but other communities are finding themselves facing these applications. The developer has a right to make the application, and the city council or town council has to vote yea or nay on it. But I did read some media reports that in Edison, their board president was coming out to the council meeting and speaking against the exemption for a particular project there for the same reason that I'm urging you all to take an interest in this particular tax exemption. This project in particular is not one that offers any benefit to the children of New Brunswick or the people of New Brunswick. It's going to be private housing, no affordable units. It's going to have 20,000 square foot storefront. Nothing like some of the other projects in New Brunswick which really do provide a community service. For example, the Performing Arts Center that's going up is going to be something where school kids are going to be able to enjoy programs there and learn about theater and stuff like that. Rutgers is a partner in that. The county government is a partner in that. And so while I may not support tax exemption for that project either, it's a much stronger case for why that project might deserve one. This project is one that's not going to contribute anything good to the New Brunswick community. It's just going to be a purely for-profit rental housing project, and I don't think that this company, which is again for-profit developer, they're not based in New Brunswick, they're not even based in New Jersey, they're based in Georgia. I don't think they deserve a huge tax break. If they want to build in downtown New Brunswick, that's a desirable area to build, and that is one where they're going to make lots of money off of the project, and they should pay their fair share, especially to the schools. So the way that the state law works is unless they work out a different deal where they contribute to the school system, they can actually get out from under paying school taxes entirely. So I would encourage all the board members to use your voice, use your position to try to stop or change that from happening. The hearing is going to be on the 16th at City Hall, New Brunswick, and it'll be held at 6:30 p.m. As you know, just like at your meetings, anybody can come and speak up, and so I would encourage you to use your position either by showing up at that meeting or putting in writing your concerns about this, because I really do think it will, in the long term, be a very short-sighted thing that will hurt the school system down the road. And as you know, you have to educate all the children that may live in that building one day. So the owner of the building ought to pay school taxes like everybody else. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you for your listening to me.
Thank you. I don't want to get into a debate, so I'll just make a statement on tax abatement. Having lived it, been a city councilman for 26 years, been a board attorney for now 21 years. Tax abatement is a complex issue, but the way our school is funded, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We've said that before, and we'll say it again. It does not matter. Our funding formula is totally different, whether they pay school taxes or not. The city's share is $33 million. It's not going to matter whether the development goes up or not, whether it has tax abatement or not, how we're funded, because we get almost 80% of our funding on a state formula having nothing to do with that. So for those reasons, I think we've said it before, but I just want to put the record straight. Tax abatement creates development. Development is good for the town. But the other argument is, well, you're hurting the school district because they're getting no money out of it. But our money comes from, one, the $33 million, and that's the maximum we can charge, taxes. And it doesn't come, our funding comes from the state of New Jersey for our school formula, which is based upon a different formula, not tax abatement. So I want to make the record clear. Mr. Credible has his own opinions on that, but I just want to say, as the board attorney, having been knowledgeable and having dealt with this for almost a half a century, I know what it's about. And I know what the development that happens because of tax abatement. And I would agree, if we were on a regular formula like maybe Edison is, that's a whole different dynamic, but we're different. And therefore, it really doesn't make a difference.
Thank you, George. Just the other point I'll underscore is that because we're not out publicly doesn't mean we're not talking to City Hall. In fact, what we found is the most effective way to lobby for change and other things is behind the scenes. So, you know, we're not going to be picketing and protesting. That's not as effective from us as really working behind the scenes. But good points today, and thank you so very much, and thank you for the congratulations. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Do you want to swear Mr. Hush in now?
Oh,
Before we do,
yes. Welcome, I didn't see you.
Mr. Hush, I gave the official election results. You received 372 votes, and I have an official certificate from the county. Congratulations, and I'd like to swear you in as a board member. Yeah, stand up, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Ronald Hush, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people. So help me God. I, Ronald Hush, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of a Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19-4-1, nor disqualified to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJS 18A 12-1, and that I faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Excellent. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstentions? Thank you all very much.
We are adjourned.